In the suffocating grip of the Clifton archives, each curled leaf of history carried the musty breath of a bygone era. Here, in the stagnant light, Simon Harrows found himself embarking on another journey of the mind. The detective's stature, worn thin with age, was a testament to countless battles weathered, his psyche deeply etched with the lines of 1,000 unresolved mysteries. Yet in those wise, faded blue eyes glimmered an unwavering purpose, a candle's flame stubbornly flickering against the onslaught of a tempest. Harrows pored over the brittle documents, a symphony of soft rustling as he brushed fingertips against parchment, waltzing between the precipice of the past and the continuum of the present. The intimate dance with obscurity was a familiar rhythm to him. He lost count of the occasions where he'd plunged into the murky abyss of uncertainty, armed with nothing but his wits and an insatiable curiosity. His reverie was broken by the sharp ping of the ceiling lamp, casting an eerie pulse of light on a photograph that seized his attention. The sepia-toned image depicted an austere, towering structure, a forsaken warehouse. He scrutinized the image, his senses picking up the faint aura of neglect. The warehouse held an unspoken narrative that the detective found inescapably magnetic. His fingers traced the contours of the abandoned construct in the photo, an intuitive certainty blossoming in his mind that he had found the next piece in his puzzle. So it is there, after all, he mused aloud to the ghosts that inhabited the archives. A soft echo bounced back, the echo of his voice mixing with the distant rumble of thunder. Memories of the monstrous tornado roared back to life. He remembered the relentless gale, the bitter tang of fear in his mouth as the heavens bellowed and spat death from above. He survived, but the trauma had forever imprinted itself on his psyche, a haunting leitmotif in his symphony of existence. "You all right there, Harrows?" The archive custodian, a wizened woman named Agnes, looked at him, her worry-creased brow furrowing deeper. "Just lost in the storm of the past, Agnes," he replied, managing a thin smile that did little to mask the twinge of pain in his eyes. She nodded understandingly, her own eyes mirroring a lifetime of swallowed sorrows. There was comfort in shared silence, a camaraderie born out of surviving the relentless trials life bestowed. Having no family to claim, he had devoted his life to a selfless pursuit of justice. His open mind was a receptacle of myriad experiences, his soul carrying the weight of unvoiced histories that hummed their silent melodies in the recesses of his heart. His heart pounded with a renewed vigor, the pulse resonating with the undercurrent of truth waiting to be unraveled. In the quiet hollow of the evening, he walked out of the archive with the photograph in his coat pocket. A chill wind blew, stirring up the echoes of the past, and stirring within him a grim determination to face the storm yet again. The photograph of the warehouse was but a prologue to the elaborate tale he was about to delve into, an overture to a symphony that danced at the edges of reality, poised to draw him into the shadows of affluence. Under the pallid glow of a hesitant moon, the desolate warehouse stood in Clifton like a tombstone of past prosperity. Its towering silhouette cast eerie shadows, an unsettling monument in the heart of the sleeping town. Harrows approached it with a sense of trepidation, a thrill that reverberated in his veins. The warehouse seemed to breathe in the night's silence, inhaling the cold gusts and exhaling tales of unseen revelries. He entered the gaping maw of the building, each footfall echoing through the hollow womb of the forgotten structure. The scent of decayed industry mingled with faint traces of elusive luxuries, aged wine, exotic incense, and a metallic undertone that tainted the warehouse with a disquieting familiarity. An inexplicable chill ran down his spine, as if the warehouse recognized him, responding to his presence. He wandered further in, the flickering beam of his flashlight revealing a gallery of enigmatic remnants, lavish yet decaying banquet tables, masks of grotesque visage, and oddly shaped candelabras, their burnt-out candles whispering of eerie rituals held in the shroud of darkness. On a particularly ornate altar, his flashlight beam illuminated cryptic symbols etched into the aged wood. He found himself involuntarily reaching out to trace them, a sense of dread coiling around his heart like a serpent. "You tread on sacred grounds," a voice echoed through the cavernous space. He turned sharply, his heart pounding in his chest. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man in a finely tailored suit, his eyes gleaming in the dim light. "Do I now, Mr.?" Harrows let the question hang in the air. "Call me Janus," the man responded, his voice smooth as silk, yet as cold as a winter's grave. "You seem out of place here, detective." Despite the chilling undertone, Harrows stood his ground. His loyalty to his cause surpassed any fears. "I could say the same about you, Janus," he retorted, carefully studying the man. The rich fabric of his suit, the polished gleam of his cufflinks, the aura of privilege, everything screamed affluence. Their conversation echoed in the quiet warehouse, the words weaving a tense dance of danger and revelation. Harrows managed to glean bits of information, each word from Janus a cryptic piece to the puzzle. It became clear to him that he'd stepped into a clandestine world of opulence, masked by the decrepit warehouse. As he left the warehouse, the moon hid behind a veil of clouds, plunging the world into an eerie darkness. He carried with him the burden of unsettling revelations and the daunting task of deciphering the affluent underworld that seemed entwined with the forgotten warehouse. An insidious whispering wind followed him out, carrying with it the echoes of forgotten rites and a premonition of the chilling discovery that awaited him. As the relentless wheel of time spun its course, Harrows found himself entwined in an increasingly complex web of opulence, secrecy, and dark rituals. The memory of the warehouse echoed in his mind, whispering cryptic tales that danced on the periphery of comprehension. He delved deeper, his relentless pursuit leading him into the dens of Clifton's rich elite, where decadence draped every corner in a veil of intrigue. A tapestry of unsettling revelations unfurled before him. The individuals he met, clad in their opulent garbs, hid sinister truths beneath their charming veneer. Each encounter, each whispered conversation, each glance exchanged under ornate chandeliers, furthered his understanding of the cult that lurked within Clifton's elite. One such encounter was with a woman named Seraphina. Enrobed in emerald silk, her eyes bore an abyssal depth that unnerved him. As they conversed in hushed tones in a secluded corner of a grandiose ballroom, Seraphina spoke in riddles, her cryptic words painting a chilling picture. "You cannot fathom the depth of our devotion, detective. We serve a purpose larger than life itself," she whispered, her voice a soft murmur, barely rising above the distant strains of a melancholic violin. Harrows, despite the icy tendrils of fear coiling around his heart, responded in a steady voice. "What is the purpose in that? Serving a being that feasts on fear and chaos?" The enigmatic smile on Seraphina's face did not reach her eyes. "Isn't it human nature to seek out the unknown, Mr. Harrows? To poke and prod at the veil of reality?" The cryptic conversation stirred a latent terror within him, reminiscent of the dread he had experienced during the tornado. This time, the storm was not a product of nature's wrath, but of mankind's insatiable hunger for power in the unknown. As days turned into weeks, he found himself increasingly entangled in the serpent's coil, the cold scales of cosmic horror constricting around him. His every discovery, every revelation, was a step further into the labyrinth of terror. Yet the loyal detective did not flinch. His open-mindedness, his unwavering quest for truth was an ember that refused to be extinguished in the face of the encroaching darkness. He was not just surviving the serpent's coil, but learning its twisted language, a horrific symphony of ancient rites and cosmic entities. The warehouse, he realized, was but a gateway, a stepping stone into the abyss that lay beyond the mundane realm. It was a dance with the unfathomable, a dance he was yet to fully comprehend. With a grim determination etched on his weathered features, he prepared to confront the unseen terror. The abyss, he knew, was ready to gaze back at him. The cycle of the moon waxed and waned, and on the night of the impending encounter, it hung low and crimson, the sky brooding with an ominous hush. Harrows stood outside the warehouse, his heart echoing the steady rhythm of an unsung requiem. This was it. The abyss was calling. Within the bowels of the neglected edifice, the rich of Clifton had gathered. Shadows of men and women swayed in the dim light, their faces concealed behind grotesque masks, their bodies adorned in ceremonial robes. At the heart of it all, Janus stood, his voice cascading in solemn intonations that resounded off the stone-cold walls of the warehouse. Concealed in the oppressive shadows, he watched the ritual unfold. His heart thudded in his chest, a rhythmic drum of impending doom. The arcane incantations, the ritualistic dance of the participants, the oppressive aura of dread. It was a spectacle that was profoundly disturbing and eerily captivating. The air itself seemed to grow dense, an invisible weight pressing down upon the detective's chest. Reality wavered, the edges of his perception blurring as the dance reached its crescendo. A cosmic entity, a being of unimaginable horror, was being invited into their reality. Through the deafening silence that followed, he heard it, the faint echo of cosmic horror. His blood ran cold, the whispers of the unknown tickling the edge of his sanity. He could feel it, a lurking monstrosity in the shadows, an entity that was as much a part of the universe as the stars above. His survival instinct screamed at him to run, to escape the terror that was about to unfold. Yet he stood rooted, his selflessness overpowering the primal fear. He was their shield, their guardian against the terrors of the unknown. He had chosen this dance, and he intended to see it through to the end. In the face of absolute horror, he felt a sense of calm washing over him. He was but a speck in the vast cosmos, a single melody in the grand symphony of existence. The entity, despite its otherworldly terror, was simply another verse in the song of the universe. He knew then that he was witnessing the end. The entity coiled around the ritualistic circle, its whispers a cacophony of dread. His vision blurred, the world around him dissolving into a haze of horrific beauty. His heart pounded its final rhythm, a requiem for his ending. As the final vestiges of his sanity slipped, he smiled. He had danced with the abyss, stared into the eye of cosmic horror, and yet he remained undeterred. He had weathered the storm, just as he had the tornado all those years ago. His life ebbed away, drawn into the cosmic entity's insatiable maw. Harrows, the loyal detective, had completed his final case. As his consciousness faded, the echoes of the forgotten warehouse rang out one last time, a testament to the human spirit's undying pursuit of truth, even in the face of absolute horror. For in the grand waltz of existence, every soul has its verse. Harrows had sung his, and it was a melody that would resonate long after his end, a legacy that would ripple across the vast cosmic ocean. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.